Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here on All Access Live, Monday, February 20th. If your Monday was like mine, then you deserve a little bit of a break, and you're going to have a fun opportunity to get away with a really cool guest today. But before I get started, I want to ask you if you're watching this on anything else other than YouTube, do me a favor below. Go to youtube.com/at access Kevin right there and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, and if you decide that you want to become a member, you'll have exclusive benefits as well. So there's a membership option there. You can support the channel. You can get access to some of the private exclusive events that I've done, like a podcast with Cy Kernan from The Fix, backstage at the Aladdin Theater, and also mid-year from Ultravox. I'll have the released private podcast for Kelly Kiki from Night Ranger available for members this week. So go to youtube.com/at access Kevin and subscribe, become a member, and then go to 5starguitars.com/all access live. 5 Star has been able to support this channel for almost 2 years now. I would not be here if it weren't for them. They're based in Oregon, and so if you're ordering guitar accessories, parts, or anything else outside of Oregon, you're going to love the fact that you can order from there and pay no sales tax. And if you use the promo code of All Access 15 when you check out, everything you see there, you're going to save 15% off as well. So 5starguitars.com/all access live. I appreciate your support. Now, my next guest is so talented in so many ways. I've known her in the Portland music scene as a talented singer-songwriter. She's recently become a member of, as she's a Nancy Wilson in the Barracuda Heart tribute based out of Canada. And she's a talented songwriter. She's a real estate agent in the Portland area. So if you feel like buying or selling a house, we'll just end up with opportunities right there to make that happen. But today is a special thing because she has a series called, well, I'll let her tell you, Unexpected Duets. But we're going to premiere a video from my favorite singer on the planet today. So right here from her place in Portland, I got Sarah Moon. How you doing, kiddo? How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
I'm grateful to have you. I talked about Unexpected Duets right at the top of the hour. People that have seen you perform around either as a songwriter, I even forgot about the Bad Habits, right? You were doing some work with those guys as well. So they've seen you on stage in a whole bunch of different environments. But the Unexpected Duets thing is a new series. So jump right into it. If you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about what made you come up with this concept and then maybe a little bit about what we're doing today.
Yeah. So Unexpected Duets is just a little side pet project for me to get to sing songs that I don't usually get to sing. I have different style bands, but not all of them would work for the material that I'm doing for the Unexpected Duets. And it also affords me an opportunity to just sing and play with tons of different multi-talented people. So, I grew up singing in a choir, and so singing, group singing, or singing duets is really my forte, and it's something that I really love to do. And so I got this idea. I was like, okay, I really want to do this song, and I asked Jeff Buehner if he would get on board with me to sing like a duet because we have very different voices, and I thought it would work out really cool. And then from there, I have like a laundry list of singers and musicians that I want to play with, and I'm slowly working through that list, building this kind of new series.
Okay. And you mentioned Jeff Buehner. I would probably be remiss if I didn't mention the Loyal Order right here. So
You got it on.
I have to do my promo. But Jeff Buehner has been on the show, of course, before. Jeff and I have played in a ton of different projects together. And like you, he's ventured off in a completely new environment. I've always known him as a bass player. I knew he had a killer rock voice, and I've seen him do certain events for, like, say, Monsters of Rock benefit events where he'd sing some songs. But to take on what you guys have done today is a really it's an impressive venture. We can talk a little bit about, maybe we'll do the premiere. We could talk a little bit about what went into that production. But I should say, you guys are playing, you recorded a video and a song from my favorite band on the planet, from the favorite record I have on the planet, my favorite singer on the planet, and I know when Myles Kennedy gets an opportunity, if he's not yet already heard it, He'll be impressed. He'll be proud. I know for sure that he's going to, because there are a lot of people that have covered this thing sort of on YouTube, but not in a professional way, the way you guys have. It's
Yeah. Well, I hope he likes it. It's definitely it's one of my favorite songs too, and it means a lot. And I just every time I heard it, I would sing a harmony to it, and I was like, I just need to record this. I need to do
yeah,
something with this, and it's all for fun. It's all just to put something out there that's different.
yeah. So Summergirl's the song off the second skin record from Mayfield Four. What made you pick that one in particular?
Mostly the harmony,
Okay.
because it was just kind of something like I'll be in the car listening to the song, singing along, and I just kept launching into this harmony. And I have a similar range to Miles, and just I love that he does the lengthy notes,
Yeah.
tons of support, just street like sweeping notes, and so that's how I sing too. And I just kept hearing it, and I was like, This is the song. This is the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
And he wasn't available to do the duet with you, so you had to get Jeff Buehner, right? So
I honestly didn't ask, but then I found out that like almost everyone involved with the project is connected to him directly, and I was like, oh, I could have asked him, but Jeff and I are bros, so it was an easy way to just get the song done.
who else is on the recording?
So we have Jeff Buehner, we have Davey LaPrenzi.
Yeah.
Know him from Everclear and Storm in the Balls and Sweaty Nipples.
Davey Nipples. Yeah.
Nips, yep. Mike Collins played drums for us because I didn't think to ask you.
Oh, that's all. Yeah. I wasn't looking away for that reason. I'm just watching the chat here. No, that's Mike Collins, my brother. That's all. And
No worries. And of course, Brandon Cook. So
Oh.
Brandon Cook and I are songwriting partners, and we do a lot of music together.
And Brandon had a lot to do with the co-writing on Cut and Run, your new record as well, right? So you
Yep.
guys have worked together a lot. It made sense to do this work. And well, we can talk a little bit about Cut and Run, but before we do, I should just mention too, I know Rob Daiker I think he produced the recording. Is that correct?
He did Summergirl with us. Yep. So
Yeah,
we
okay.
did it at his studio, and then he produced it and did the video as well.
Okay. All right. So when you watch the video, folks, you'll know that Rob Daiker was a big part of the visual aspect and also the sonic element that went behind the recording. So why don't we just do this? Now there's Davey Nipples right there in the chat. Nice to see you, Davey. So why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and do a world premiere of Sarah Moon's Unexpected Duets. We've got Summer Girl from Myles Kennedy and Mayfield Four. Here we go.
Flowers placed at the foot of the grave of the one we lost forever. Jesus, please let us all rest in peace and make way unto angels in heaven. Summer girl went away. Everything has been dying. Summer girl went away, and the sun doesn't shine. All alone in the house we called home, and the walls still echo of her laughter. We dream of a world far away, we'll never know. Since she left, I don't dream sun doesn't shine.
Damn it. If you are not full of goosebumps and tears right now, you're not alive, man. That is unbelievable. I cannot believe how badass that is. The chat's blowing up. You guys know how incredible that is. What an amazing rendition of a beautiful song. My God. um,
Thanks for playing it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then how am I going to release it? Like, where's it going to go? So I appreciate having us on the show to do it.
what's the plan next with this single in particular? So, Unexpected Duets is something that kind of gives you an opportunity. Sorry, I'm a little choked up. It's, tell me what your plan is with this song in particular.
With this song, well, unfortunately, no plan. I was just like, I want to do it and put it out there. And, I found out that I can even release it on Spotify, even though I don't own the rights to the song.
Yeah.
I can put it out there so people can listen to it. And just to kind of keep going, I'm going to see kind of where the duets go and hopefully do something similar to yourself, like have a YouTube channel where people can tune in and watch whatever harebrained idea I get next.
You mentioned the YouTube channel thing. It's really funny. The idea behind this was it spawned from the pandemic when we were all home from gigs. I had the big list of tour dates that were planned and then they were shut down. And I missed the camaraderie that I had with my bandmates. So I wanted to have some opportunity where we just did Facebook Live conversations to at least pretend like we were backstage catching back up. And so I'm thinking about the camaraderie of the band that you had in that studio. So Mike Collins, of course, one of my favorite drummers. I love him. Thank you, Mike Collins, for wearing a purple shirt in the video, playing Dan Pred's purple drums. That was awesome. But working with Rob Daiker, you get Brandon Cook, and Davey, man. I've never actually had the opportunity to work with Davey, but I love his playing.
Yeah.
He's a natural guy for that. Had you worked with him before?
Yes, he actually recorded my second album with me. I have a kind of an Americana album called Good Girls Sleep Alone. And whenever I can pull Davey out of retirement, I guess we'll call it that, is always a bonus for me. And so, he's a huge Mayfield Four fan, and he actually introduced me to the Mayfield Four. So just kind of
Really?
fit. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, back in the Everclear days too, because I know that Craig Montoya and Miles had gone to school together in Spokane, and there are major connections all the way around. It's a weird, semi-incestuous, music scene that we've got, but cool combination. And actually, that it's I think, kind of an unpredictable ensemble of people that you had in it,
Yeah.
because they're all from different environments, and so with Cut and Run. So I think you recorded that with Kevin Hahn, right, at Opal Studios.
No, I actually recorded that with Jameson Durr
Oh,
um,
okay.
at the Hollowed Hall. So Jameson Durr works with predominantly with like Sammy Hagar. He's actually been working with Nancy Wilson lately, which is also a fun small world connection. So
Right.
we all get to meet her at some point. Um, uh, he did like the Chickenfoot album, so he's worked with Satriani and all those guys.
Oh, that's right. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Okay. Davies reminding me in the chat. We did do some stuff together, but we were in the studio working with Storm for her Crazy Enough, like demo stuff for her Crazy Enough album. Yes,
Oh,
he mooned me on a live video take, which is still out there on YouTube. But Davey, we never got to play live. So
maybe. So now it's full circle. Sarah
yeah,
Moon.
right.
Mhm.
That's right. The mooning. And so with the Cut and Run record,
Mhm.
I didn't hear too much about you doing shows until this amazing party that you just had. You had this beautiful release
Yeah.
like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And tell me about that show.
Oh man, that show was awesome. We ended up last minute venue change to the Mission Theater, and it couldn't have been better. What a beautiful theater itself. It's ornate, the curtains, like the lighting, just everything was gorgeous. And I assembled quite the band for that gig as well. So on the album, Brandon Cook and myself co-wrote all the songs, and then we pulled in a producer named Andy Korn to kind of help us fine-tune things and just make sure that we were writing things that weren't like 5 minutes long and get us kind of rein us in a little bit. And most of the studio band actually did the album release.
Okay.
It was a lengthy process because we started it during like the pandemic hit as we were demoing the album. So it was kind of a 2-year process up to
Yeah. To the
the
release. Well, I watched some videos where you guys were doing rehearsals for the show, and
yeah.
you had JP on keys, which is really cool. Looked like he had some stuff charted out, right? And uh, was Alan Hunter playing on that as well?
So JP, Jean-Pierre Garau, and Alan Hunter were both on the album.
Okay.
Kyle Baltus was our original drummer, but he was unavailable for the album release. Brandon Cook, myself, and then we had some sort of miscellaneous players. We had a couple horn players from March 4th, Levi Stragolin and John Van Cura.
Okay.
I know there's some more people that were on there that I'm forgetting all of a sudden, but yeah, most of those people were in the CD release. But we swapped out Ryan Moore, who is who
Amazing drummer.
is available to play the show. Otherwise, we would have had to fly you in from Santa Fe.
You had Tim Deek on guitar as well.
Yes, Tim
Yeah.
DeColis. Yes. So the deal is Brandon and I went super crazy with guitar tracks. At one point, he was like, is it too much Queen? Because I was like, really go Brian May on.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, is it too much Queen? I said, never. There's never too much Queen. So we had layered all these guitar tracks, and we're like, how are we going to play this live? And so I had met Tim through the Loyal Order, and it just was a natural fit. So he joined us for that show, and he'll be joining us in the future as well.
Amazing. I mean, that really, you've got, some of the greatest musicians in the Northwest, on the the recording, the live stuff. You mentioned Brian May. When I first met you, I'd never seen you play guitar. I'd seen you really like stretch in a wide range of vocal stuff, between hard rock stuff when you were playing Hair Assault gigs and Bad Habits to, some of the other singer-songwriter type thing.
Mhm.
But I had never seen you play guitar until Barracuda Heart Tribute came about, and they needed a Nancy Wilson character. And your voice was a natural fit. I just never had seen you play guitar until I watched a video of you doing that gig, and you nail that gig so much. And even visually, I mean, you've got the kicks and you've got all this stuff down. So you mentioned Brian May being an influence. Was Hart also kind of an influence for you back in the day?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was probably more influenced by Anne just because I'm predominantly a singer.
Sure.
But when I got the call again, it was during the pandemic, I got a call from Donna and Murray saying like, "Hey, would you be interested in being our Nancy?" And I said, "Well, yeah, of course." But I didn't play guitar in that way at all. I
Yeah.
was a strummer at best.
Sure.
And so I had 9 months to cram and figure out how to do it. And so yeah. It
And
was no small feat, but we did it.
you just got back from Canada last night playing shows with them, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome to the world of the traveling musician.
Yeah. No, I've kind of been at it all my life, but it's been on the outskirts more, and it's nice to be kind of doing some of these bigger shows with even with the tribute bands because you get a little bit more I don't know, just out there,
Yeah.
bigger audience, bigger shows.
So Appetite for Deception was on my show the other day. We talked about the tribute thing because I got in late last night too, about 1:30 this morning from our shows. We had a run of 4 days in a row with Flock of Seagulls, but we had Depeche Mode tribute. Strange Love was the tribute that was opening for us on a lot of these. I think we've got 20 some shows together. They are so focused on meticulous replication of
Mhm.
that band from the look and the sound and everything. And if you don't get the tribute thing, you might not understand it, right? So I have this conversation with people a lot because to me, it kind of feels like you're replicating a Broadway show off Broadway, you know? So
Musical theater.
yeah, musical theater, exactly. And you and I had both seen Barracuda in the past before too, and you knew Murray and Donna just put everything into making that Barracuda tribute sound so authentic. I'm blown away by that tribute. I can't wait to see the band live with you. Uh,
Yeah.
are you guys? I'm sure you're doing some of the bigger festivals with JFL. I'm sure you're doing Hairfest this year, right? Okay.
Yep.
What's happening next for Barracuda?
We are going to Kansas City.
Really?
Yeah, we're playing a casino in Kansas City in May.
Okay.
That'll be pretty fun.
If people are watching this and they want to know a little bit more, you can go to j-fell.com. It has a list of all the tributes. You can find Barracuda Heart tribute right there too, and you can see some live video of these guys doing that stuff in action. But if you're in Kansas City, I definitely recommend going out and checking them out. If you're watching this in the Northwest, you've already seen this band. You know it's an incredible tribute. But balancing all that, you got the tribute, you've got your new record, you got unexpected duets, and you balance a life as a realtor and a
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
So yeah, that's tough to prioritize sometimes. I think I know which one stacks up on the very top.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'll do my kiddo first, but yeah, it all kind of somehow I managed to balance it all.
yeah, and do it well. I mean, for me, I master none. You know, if I try to balance way too many things, I unfortunately have to kind of half-ass a few things. And I'm sorry, clients, but sometimes you get the lesser half of the deal. But parenting is key. And before we went on camera, it was very sweet. You know, your son Luca jumped on. He was excited to show off his guitar. We talked about his favorite color being purple, so I already think he's a badass.
Yeah,
And
you're bonded. You're bros now. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Um, you told me something really special about this experience that you guys started doing, you and Luca, your son,
Mhm.
during the pandemic. And it was so endearing. Do you mind sharing that story?
Yeah. So Luca and he has this little guitar that my dad made for him. It's a little red Squire. It's kind of like a Frankenstein guitar. And so he made it so it's super easy to play for kids. And all the grandkids have them. Anyway, so he would get his guitar out and we would kind of jam together. And it kind of started with a friend of mine who was in France she lives in France, but she's really stuck during the pandemic and they were only able to go outside for about an hour a day. And she was like, she just messaged me one day and she's like, would you call me and sing me a song? And I was like, of course I will, but okay. Anyway, so Luca and I got on and we did our own unexpected duet. We sang her Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. And so we both had our guitars and he's just, strumming and singing along. And it was cool to watch the change on her face. Like she went from looking really gaunt and unhealthy. And by the end of it, she was like smiling and she was like uplifted and she wanted to chat. And I could just see like how impactful it was.
Yeah.
And so we just decided to call ourselves the Song Bandits, and we just FaceTimed or video chatted with whoever we could think of, and just sung them Three Little Birds for like a year straight. We just would randomly call people and sing to them. So it
I,
was kind of our
I
little, it was fun for us. It was fun for those who received it, I think, as well.
yeah, no, absolutely. Were you a musical family? Like, did you grow up in a musical family?
Sort of. My parents are both musical, and all of my like distant relatives are as well. But my parents owned a sound company, so I grew up touring with them, and they did sound for live shows.
Really? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up touring on the West Coast,
Okay.
so play Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver, BC, and then kind of back and forth. And then I'm actually from South Dakota, and that's where I ended up like landing and going to school and growing up for the most part. But Portland and South Dakota.
That's I think that was the connection that you and I made too, right? As a Montanan, there's
Mhm.
something about that area, right? That people, the sort of personalities, the philosophical sort of similarities from people that are in that area, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, you know.
So much physical talent. I mean, there's not a lot else to do, right? So there's just a lot of time to hone your craft.
Yeah. So did you start, you mentioned doing choirs when you were
Mhm.
younger. So you started off, did you play an instrument early on or did that come later?
I did. I played piano. The rule was I had to play piano for a year before doing anything else.
Okay.
I played piano, and then I was in orchestra. I was a violinist
Wow.
many many years, and then I was touring with the international touring children's choir as well.
Really? All right.
Yeah, yeah,
So you were on the road early, so this is no new thing to you.
right.
Uh, when you were touring with the sound company with your family, did you get a chance to see live music quite a bit then at that time?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
very. So I mean, I'd be there, all day setting up, sound check, and then usually like in a hotel with a babysitter, and then but sometimes there wasn't a babysitter, so I'd be at the shows.
To me, thinking about long all day sound checks and setting up gear would be the biggest deterrent to want to play music for a living, I think. You know, you know this, and I'll share. I mean, if people are, if you're watching this and you're not in a band, and you think about the how glorious rock and roll is, right? Like being out on the road, and if they just knew how many hours you sit there waiting for production companies to come in and set up mics and catering to come in just so you can have, some kind of snack and you haven't slept in days. And so, when the lights go on, when the curtain drops, it's a whole totally different story, right? But
Worthwhile. Yeah.
man, yeah. What was the first concert you remember seeing?
Well, like first arena concert that wasn't something that my parents were doing sound for was Bon Jovi.
Oh, really? Do you remember what tour?
I don't. I was
Okay.
super young. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if it was in South Dakota, then it was
Mhm.
probably the 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit tour because I saw that one too in Montana. It came through Bon Jovi, and I was trying to think of who was opening that tour, but
I don't recall.
yeah, but yeah, that was a special time, right? Because that was such a big, magical show, and I'm sure John Bon Jovi is such a charismatic figure, right? He's large, large.
Like he had like these like I don't know what you call it. It was like like a platform that went up, but it went around the entire arena, and he'd be up there singing, and like even if you had nosebleed seats, you were like right there. It was
Yeah,
so
how
yeah, I
could
know.
how could I have forgotten this? Thank you, Corey Mingier. It was Rat and Bon Jovi. That was
Uh,
the tour. Yeah. So I think I'm a little bit older than you, but I think it was probably about that same time. That was one of my first shows, and I remember just feeling like watching that, thinking, "Oh my God, if I can be on a massive stage like that with all the lights and the screaming fans, and yeah." You know,
yep.
John has a trick. I remember seeing some video when we were doing Steel Horse tribute in Portland. I told Mark Thomas about this, that I'd seen John do this. He'd walk out into the crowd just at the beginning of the show, and he'd see like a gal with a big jersey on or something, and say, "Hey, it's my shirt." And she's like, "What?" He goes, "I want my shirt back. Give it back." And that that was that was his rock and roll angle to be able to to
Get shirts off ladies or what?
get shirts off the ladies. Exactly. This is this is a different time, different era, kids.
Yeah.
So so back to kids, and we'll think about Luca and growing up and doing Three Little Birds. Um, I'm wondering because if you did this thing for friends and family, there's a special bonding that really happens with parents and children. I can certainly relate. You had your acoustic guitar. He had his Frankenstein Squire. He came out, and I should say it was very cute. He came out and he described, the neck had walnut in it. So his grandfather like put in a special neck with walnut.
His son got the inlay.
It's so cool. And he's a drummer too, right?
Yeah, well, he's he dabbles in a lot right now, so we'll see where he lands. But yeah, he's into it, So if I can help him along that journey, that's easy for me to do.
That was what I was going to ask you. Having done this your entire life, what are the recommendations that you might make to help him kind of avoid speed bumps as a musician?
Gosh, I think just as much education as possible, and also just going for it.
Yeah.
Just have no fear. Just jump in and go for it.
So education wise, you're thinking like post secondary education. So after high school, go on and go to music school, study theory and
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it just helps if you know some theory, it can help you in the long run.
sure.
I work with plenty of people who only play by ear, who, know their basic chord shapes, but those that have the theory language can tend to, well, what I've noticed is that it can get you farther in some circles.
Sure. You bet.
Yeah. Not necessary, but it's just helpful.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned JP Garral, right? So JP is an incredible scoring musician, right? So not only is he an amazing pianist and he can sing his butt off, but writing out charts and being a music director is something that I would think gives him more opportunities than somebody that might not have that capability. How about songwriting? For me, I know that had I worked more on lyrics and melody, mailbox money might be a little bit more prevalent for me, So, do you talk? I mean, do you think? I know that not everybody has an aptitude for writing, but it's an important thing, and especially as a contributing writer. You mentioned you and Brandon doing a lot of co-writing together. An experience like that, how do you guys work together so that you can collectively put something together? Do you write lyrics and he writes melodies, or do you guys do that stuff together? Or what's your process?
We have a few different ways. Oftentimes I will come to him with some lyrics, kind of a skeleton of a song, and then he'll put chords to it. If I have a melody, then he'll write the chords around that. Sometimes we will co-write the lyrics together, and generally we'll fine tune. So I'll have the lyrics, he'll have the changes, the guitar changes, and then we'll sort of just keep massaging it and fine tuning it until it all makes sense. So if I'm hearing a certain chord, I'll ask him to go that direction with it, and we just kind of keep working on it in that way. But it's pretty versatile with us, and our whole thing is that we just don't shut each other down. So we always say yes. So we go, okay, yeah, let's try it. Let's see what this is. And if it doesn't work, then it's pretty apparent, and we go, nah, let's do something else. But yeah, we have a pretty easy time writing together, and we've been doing it for a long time. He and I co-wrote a song for my last album, and I think it was just the one song that we had co-written, but that was kind of a springboard for us to be like, okay, let's do some more of this.
I'm amazed whenever I see songwriting duos, because it shows a lot about humility and patience and respect. When you see somebody that has a hard time writing with somebody else, a lot of times egos come into play, and I'm fascinated by watching people that work really well together. You mentioned, like Brian May. Brian May seems to be able to work with everybody, and he doesn't have to show everyone all of his chops. He brings the musicality into it, and it's more for the song. And I could certainly see Brandon being that way with you too. When you grabbed your guitar earlier, I was curious to know if you might be willing to play a little live song. And I wasn't sure if it was something that, as off the cut and run record, or maybe something that you like to pull out around the campfire and play. But I think it'd be fun to hear your voice.
Okay, I could probably do that. So the caveat here is that I usually have at least Brandon, if not Brandon and Tim. So it'll be a little naked without the other instruments, but let's do it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you don't even have an Ann Wilson there to your Nancy, right? So if you want to do one of the kicks, you can do that, but you have to get a wider camera length. So, So what do we get? What do I get to hear?
Oh man. Well, I'm kind of known for doing some really slow, slow ballads. So I'm gonna do a song called "I Don't Know."
Okay, cool.
And, yeah, I'll have to just nix the solo section because Brandon's not here to do it. But we'll do a little shortened version, I guess.
Okay, well, guys, if you got here late, this is Sarah Moon. She's going to do a little acoustic solo performance for it. So I'm going to get off camera so we can see your beautiful face and listen to your beautiful voice. So, Sarah Moon, take it away.
Baby, there's something wrong. So much change, I had to write a song. Baby, you're on the floor. Get up and walk out the front door. And I said, I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where to stay. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where to stay. Baby, you're on my mind. It's your life with limited time. There's a world waiting for you. They're wondering what you're gonna do. And I said, I don't think I can get out of bed. I don't want to, I'll sleep instead. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know where to stay.
Ah, man, that is beautiful. I love it. I've never heard that song. Is that on one of your recordings?
Yeah, so that's a song called "I Don't Know," and it's on the Cut and Run album.
It is. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
betting if we went to sarahmoonmusic.com, is there a link to be able to get a hold of that record? And
Yes.
I know it's on streaming platforms.
On all streaming platforms. I have physical CDs, and you can even check it out on YouTube.
Right on. Oh yeah, it's funny. While you were performing this, somebody was texting me, reminding me about your amazing purple coat that you wore.
I'm just gonna get it. We need it. Hang on.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much for this. Guys, if you got here late and you didn't know, Sarah Moon, incredible songwriter. She's got an unexpected duets series that she just put out where we did oh, look at that. That is the greatest coat I've ever seen in my. I love it. I don't think you should go anywhere without that.
It's pretty ridiculous. I've been calling it my Muppet. Yeah, Colleen.
That's yeah. Colleen says Muppet coat. Yeah, no, man. Jim Henson would be all over that thing. But yeah.
I went to the album release and I was like making everyone pet it. I was like, just look at it. It's.
You didn't perform with that though, did you?
No, I was going to, but then I was playing guitar and I couldn't figure out the logistics. But I used to have a soul band called Sarah Moon and the Night Sky, and that was kind of one of my things. I would dress in like sort of pinup outfits and had a big pompadour, and then I'd always put a cool coat on, and then like whip it off at the apex of the first song or whatever. And but I was like strapped to a guitar this time, so I couldn't work it out.
Yeah, man. I think I don't care whether that's a lady's coat or not. I'm telling you, man, if I ever get a hold of that thing, I'm never letting go.
It's totally unisex, and it's like it's. I mean, it's like a one size fits all. So like anybody can rock this.
Red satin inside too. My God, that
Hot pink, yeah.
oh, hot pink, yeah, man. Well, that's totally your vibe. When the album
Yeah.
cover, where you had the big red pop, and you've yeah, you've got some style, girl. That's a cool thing.
Well,
What's
that's fun. It's fun to have a opportunity to dress up and
yeah.
be
Well,
on stage.
get out of the office, right, when you're not selling houses. And this is a crazy thing. I think I told you I had Zia McCabe on from the Dandy Warhols, and we talked about balancing tour and being able to come home. For her, she talked about really wanting to um, she wanted to be able to work with like first time home buyers, musicians, artists, people that are really having a hard time in an economy that has a high cost of living, and figure out creative ways, to be able to get into a home. And right now, the economy, of course, man, it's tough. Since the pandemic, especially, it's been very difficult. We've seen the real estate industry change a bunch. How, because you seem to have a pretty busy music schedule. How do you balance that where you can actually have a pretty thriving career with real estate and still balance your music passion and then be a mom?
How? Yeah, that's the question. Well, okay. I've always ran my business completely paperless, completely from my Wi-Fi computer. So wherever I am in the world, I can work.
Okay.
So that's been step one. For most realtors, you don't use paper anymore. You don't have to be face to face on a lot of things. And then I work with a lot of people that are out of state or out of country. So that kind of also helps. So I'll be doing video tours for them. And, if I'm not on the ground, I can generally get one of my associates to, take a quick showing or something. But for the most part, it just kind of works out. It's been this like little ping pong that I've been doing where I'm like, okay, I have these clients that are shopping, get them under contract, and then I'll go out with Barracuda. And it's just kind of been um, naturally working itself out. But I do have backup if I need help or if I'm out and somebody needs to see something.
And you mentioned a lot of people out of country. So do you have people that are checking out, like, say, the Portland area and seeing that they want to move in from China and they're going to just buy,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
Or people that want to return home,
okay,
that have lived abroad for a while and are ready to come back. Especially when the market was super crazy hot. I mean, it's definitely picking up again, but from like 2013 to right before the pandemic, Portland has been insane.
yeah, right. You've done this then that long? Have you been doing real estate for quite a while?
Yeah, I'm actually a third generation realtor as well. So my grandparents owned a Remax branch, and I used to work in there when I was 14, on and off, and and I thought I'd become a realtor, but it just was a natural fit.
It's a perfect gig, for a musician, I think, because you can kind of call your own hours. And
That's
this
the
is,
misconception. That's everybody says it's so flexible. I was like, no, not really. If you have to write an offer right now, you have to write an offer right now. So
sure.
it can be easy in the way that you don't have to be at a certain place in time for the
Okay.
most part, other than when you're working at a specific house. But um, it's not as flexible as one would think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess, I hadn't thought much about that, but I think having, you don't have, unless you've got a principal broker that's like breathing down your neck, right? But if you've got the flexibility, if you want to go out and do a dozen shows with Barracuda, traveling to Kansas City or wherever, you've got associates that can show or sell houses, and are they writing the offers and, your associates?
Generally, no,
It's
no.
you.
If I, for me, I'm a one-stop shop. So I do have an assistant who helps me with just like, gathering paperwork if I need it. But for the most part, I really am hands-on with my business. I want to deliver like the best customer service that I
Sure.
can do. And so when people work with me, they're working with me directly. It's they're not going to get passed off to another team member.
Good answer. I like that. I would have bet that because you have, even though, you're a fun, sort of spirited musician, you can tell, business. Ever since I've known you, I mean, you've got a good sense and a good head for this. So do you think that kind of came from the multi-generational real estate, but also your parents running a sound company and like no, I think there are probably no balls that can get dropped in your court, right? So
So I've just always had a good sense for business, and I used to book my old bands, like I'd book their tours, and I'm just used to kind of handling um, a lot of different personalities and kind of the herding cats thing where you're where you're juggling schedules for multiple people. And so, being naturally good at those things and the paperwork aspect of it is appealing to me too, and all the tech side of it. So it just, yeah, it's a good fit.
it, I'm always fascinated. When I talk to musicians that have had this incredible career. I remember asking, I think Corey Glover from Living Color was the first guy that I asked, tell me about your last day job. I'm always, blown away by some of these guys because some musicians have never had a day job, right? They've just done music their entire life. But his was working Hallmark cards. He was actually, I think he was taking transcribing and kind of like massaging content in that, but for the most part I think he was packaging Hallmark cards, and he got the call that his record deal had happened or something, and so he's like, I'm out of here. But
And you could be writing Hallmark cards and then hit it big. That's
yeah,
awesome.
right, yeah, well, yeah, but I think for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I actually love having another side of me besides music. As a web designer, I love having the opportunity to kind of be creative, not have music be the entire everything for me, because I think
Yeah.
it would make music a job, which I don't want it to be a job or feel like a job. So do you feel like you could balance it, even when Cut and Run takes off and sells billions of records and you're out there on the road, you still want to be throwing offers out on the side and doing some real estate?
I mean, we'll see. I would like an opportunity to not have a day job at some point,
Okay.
but I do enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I, I do in both worlds, and right now I'm just kind of focusing on overlapping them a little bit. So I sponsored a stage at Hairfest last year, which was super fun. So I had like the Realtor Moon stage, which was like in Hippie Hollow, and it was like all the, Fleetwood Mac and Jimi Hendrix and all that, and just kind of letting people know that I do both, and
Yeah.
like inviting my clients to concerts and things like that now. So I used to
Smart.
keep them separate, but now I'm trying to kind of merge them.
I would bet, yeah. People might be more inclined to want to buy a house if they know that they got this rock star agent, right? That's out there doing it. The
Sometimes. Well, like Zia and I actually had a conversation about it at one point. How she was saying that people would have a misconception of her as a rock star. So thinking
Oh,
that she was unprofessional.
right.
Um, I don't tend to have that, but I could see why people would get that impression. So yeah, I definitely kept them separate for a while. But I also work with a ton of musicians.
Oh,
I
do
see
you?
a lot of homes that have recording studios in them, and sometimes the new buyer wants that and sometimes they don't, but I have kind of a niche where I market homes for musicians or owned by musicians.
Okay, so if somebody, say Richard Marks wants to get out of Nashville, he's going to move to Portland, right? And how does he get a hold of Sarah Moon?
How does he get a hold of me? Well, he could go to realtormoon.com.
Okay, yeah. Do you hear that, Richard? You and Diaz Fuentes, you get your, sell the Nashville house off, and you can move up to the Pearl and buy a house from
I mean,
Sarah.
I feel like I'm going to get like prank calls now from people pretending to be Richard Marx.
But don't deny them because it could be him, for sure.
I
Yeah,
have to, I'll have to get on a video chat and have
yeah.
to sing me a song or something.
Oh man, I'm actually a huge Richard Marx fan.
Me too.
Another guilty pleasure of mine. The dude, if you go to a Richard Marx show, you just can't see a 3 hour show and hear all of his hits. It's crazy.
I know, he's
But
awesome.
he is, and actually funny. He kind of pokes fun at himself, and he's a good cat. But as far as like gigs for you, like what's the perfect pairing? If like really, I mean, if you had some label interest where there's enough support that could get you out on a national tour, what's a
Mhm.
good pairing for you to go out and tour?
I mean, Foo Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
I want to play with the Foo Fighters big
Yeah.
time.
All right.
Or Lannis. I mean, that would definitely be cool too.
Oh yeah, Lannis would be a great one too. I could see that. How
Yeah.
about Pink? I could see you doing a Pink tour too.
Yep.
Yeah, she's out doing it right now, just starting. So Pink, if you're listening, right? Um, I for the show, oftentimes I ask people about guilty pleasures. You wear so many hats. I don't know if you knew this, but I usually ask people because a lot of people think they know you, But what might they be surprised to find out about Sarah Moon? What's her guilty pleasure?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, on the spot, can't even think of anything. I want to have something really cool, like something shocking, but
Right.
I don't think I do.
It does. I will give you a couple of surprising ones for me. I think I had Dave Ellefson from Megadeth on, and he talked about having grown up liking disco. And he said mostly they didn't want to admit they liked disco, but all the girls were into it, So but I had like three straight where people talked about ABBA being their musical guilty pleasure, which I don't think is guilty at all. I think it's awesome. There's nothing wrong with ABBA. Some food stuff, or like if you're sneaking, sort of vegan chocolates, along with you on the roads. I had a story about that yesterday. I have a friend who has a vegan culinary school in Vegas. She's an amazing person, Heather Heath. She just shot the cool picture I'm using on Facebook right now for my profile. She showed up at the House of Blues show and gave me these brownies, big vegan Oreo brownies, and they look amazing. I had a little bite, but I brought them with me in TSA last night, and they were going, "Oh, are these fun brownies?" And I said, "Well, they're delicious gluten-free brownies, if that's fun for you, But they're like purple hair guy with a leather jacket. I don't know, but
Like the dog sniff the brownies.
dog didn't find anything. They were perfectly safe. So
Did
you
they
can,
let you have fun?
they let me take them on. Yeah, they're just chocolate.
Yeah,
But
like devour them all in the TSA line.
yeah, no, that's it. If it was liquid, maybe. But while you think about your guilty pleasure, sometimes I bring out the fortune cookies. So I'm going to give a fortune, and we're going to talk your guilty pleasure, and then I'm going to beg you to bring Luca on to say hi if he's available. Can he come on and say hey?
Yeah, hopefully he'll.
Well, if he can, have him come on in. This fortune might be for both you guys. All right. So this is an All Access Live fortune from Ling Restaurant here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Santa Fe is not really known for its Chinese food, but let's find out what Sarah Moon's fortune is today.
Okay, let's have it.
All right. Oh, it's not very profound, but it's someone is speaking very well of you at this very moment. So I think in the chat, we've probably seen a bunch of that. And the Tim Deek said, "Goosebumps again. I love that song." I think Cheryl Bland was talking about an amazing show. Ryan Abitz says the musicians are all so amazing. So you've got lots of fans. Kim Smold said, "I have goosebumps and watery eyes after your performance with Summergirl." So yes, people.
Oh, I also wanted to mention, when I assembled this giant band for the album release, Kim Smoltz and we've been singing together in different bands for a few years, but she came on to sing harmony with me for the Cut and Run album release.
Right on.
And we also brought on Maya Shambry, who sings with Ants in the Kitchen, and then also the horn section from Ants in the Kitchen. So we made a giant band for that show.
The Mission Theater stage is not that big. I have no idea how you got that many people on.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great.
There's some good footage of that, though. I saw some on Facebook, and I'm sure YouTube, too. So if you guys have watched a little bit of this and you want to see more of Sarah Moon, you should definitely go out and check out her Cut and Run album release party. So what do you think? Can we get Luca on camera real quick before we jump? Okay. And while she's getting the MVP of the show, I should tell you, this was amazing. The beginning of the show, we had a premiere of the Mayfield Four cover of Summergirl. Sarah Moon has an Unexpected Duets series that she's starting up. This was the very first one that she released, recorded, and the video directed by Rob Daiker. She had Jeff Buehner and herself singing this duet. Brandon Cook on guitar, Mike Collins on drums, Dave LaPrinzi on bass. Incredible performance. And maybe on the way out, we'll air that video one more time. Oh, look at this. All right. So
I couldn't quite find. Oh, wait.
your Siamese twin, Luca. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you? So we
Oh, thank you.
this if you guys
In the show right now. I will work later.
I should have just given like a bunch of candy right before this. That would be great.
yeah. So Luca got some chocolate rocks just before the show. Um, and we just, you know what's funny? So you remember we were talking to Luca before the show, and he said, I just want you to say something about me on the show, right? And then we opened the fortune, and the fortune says someone is speaking well of you at this very moment. So it kind of crossed over. What would you like us? What should mom have said about you? How handsome you are?
Oh, I just think Charlie Rock said would be in the show.
Yeah, we did.
Chocolate Rocks and be in the show.
Yeah.
You want to talk about your sweet guitar or your drum set?
No, just show off that face. So we've got a performer, again, fourth generation performer right here. We've got,
Yeah,
hey,
we
Luke,
should.
are you going to go on the road with your mom's band?
You gonna come rock out with us?
No.
No.
Yeah.
We did take him to the studio. He was in the studio when we were tracking drums for Summergirl, so he was there for that part.
I
Oh, wow.
love singing.
That, the guy that was playing drums in there, he's, oh, wow. You know, it's a good thing.
5-year-old to interviews. This is it, right?
It's a good thing you have, a 5-year-old energy in your life, right? That's what keeps you going. I asked how you balance it all. Yeah, because you can't sleep on that job. There's just no way.
No, but you sleep well when you finally get to sleeping, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Luca, so did you actually watch the video when it was all done?
Kevin wants to ask you a question. Can you listen? Okay, go ahead.
Did you watch the video when it was all done recording?
Have you seen Summergirl?
No.
You haven't?
Okay, well, you know what? I think this might be an opportunity where we get to close the show because we did a world premiere at the beginning. And I think the perfect way to end the show would be that you get to see it for the first time. Luca, you should know. One of my favorite songs by one of my favorite bands. Your mom is one of my favorite people. I'm grateful to have her here, and I'm grateful to get to meet you. So hopefully, I do get to watch you perform live. Folks, if you got here late, you get an opportunity to see this amazing video. So go out, check out sarahmoonmusic.com, where you can find streams of her Cut and Run album. And once Unexpected Duets, her new series, is available, you're going to see this thing on YouTube and I'm sure on Vimeo and wherever else. So Myles Kennedy, when you hear this thing, just know that I think they did it right. So cheers to you guys. Sarah Moon, thank you for being here. And Luca, wonderful to meet you. Folks, thank you so much for being here in the chat. I'm going to end the show with another premiere of Summergirl from Sarah Moon and her Unexpected Duets. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Thanks again. Peace.
Flowers placed at the foot of the grave of the one we lost forever. Jesus, please let us soul rest in peace and make way unto angels in heaven. Summer girl went away. Everything has been dying. Summer girl went away, and the sun doesn't shine.
All alone in the house we called home, and the walls still echo of her laughter. We dream of a world far away, we'll never know. Since she left, I don't dream
doesn't shine.